Buenos días mi gente y bienvenidos a mi canal. Hoy vamos a hablar sobre el acento dominicano, las diferencias de pronunciación, a comparación con el español estándar y las expresiones que tú necesitas saber para hablar con un dominicano, sea en la República Dominicana o en las calles de Nueva York o Miami. Vámonos. So first up, let's talk about the Dominican accent. So the Dominicans have a very distinct way of speaking, and one of the biggest things you're going to notice is the speed at which they talk. These people speak as if they were driving an F1 race car, just like this example here.
Pero este tigre está loco, el diablo. Dame un maldito bizcocho dominicano que eso es lo que yo ando buscando. Acá, bizcocho. ¿Este es dominicano? Yo soy dominicanísimo. Yo quiero un bizcocho relleno de guayaba.
And there's also some key pronunciation differences that we're going to have to learn to deal with in order to understand the Dominicans and be able to talk with them. And if we want to adopt their accent, talk alike. So the first thing you're going to notice is that the S's at the end of words just disappear, right? So it's not muchas gracias, it's mucha gracia. It's not me gusta este carro, it's me gusta este carro. Or estamos yendo para allá instead of estamos yendo para allá. So the second thing we're going to notice when it comes to talking with Dominicans is that the D sometimes disappears, specifically when it's between two vowels, like in those auto-edo words, like cansado, lado, enojado, where it's going to sound more like cansado, lao, enojado. Combining that with the fact that they drop out the S's, you're probably not going to hear hoy estoy muy cansado. It's going to sound more like hoy estoy muy cansado, and much, much faster. It's also probably not going to sound like nosotros estamos enojados. It's going to sound like nosotros estamos enojados. Another thing you'll notice is you get a strong contraction where multiple words, they cut words out, cut letters out, and kind of combine it together, right? So it's not voy para allá, it's voy para allá. It's not para a dónde vas, it's pa dónde va. And the last big thing to pay attention to with the Dominicans is that, and this goes for the other islands as well, Puerto Rico and Cuba, is there's a huge tendency to change the letter R to the letter L, right? And in some lesser cases, the letter I, or to just disappear completely. And while in some places this is seen as like a feature of uneducated speakers, in the Dominican Republic, it's a huge thing, especially when they're speaking fast, which they speak fast normally, much less if they're, chatting with friends and really getting into things and going back and forth. Now, this change of R depends kind of where you're at. So in the more northern part, you're going to get more, it changes to an I. So like correr, it's not going to be correr, but correr, hablar, come. And in the capital and in the south, and then in the east, I guess more so, you're going to get an L. So it's not going to be correr, but correr. It's not going to be hablar, but hablar. Caminar. If you've heard Bad Bunny speak, he's not Dominican, but they speak in a similar way. If you've heard Bad Bunny speak in some of his songs, that is kind of what we're looking at, right? Another example, perdón is not going to be perdón, it's going to be perdón. Te pido perdón. I ask for your forgiveness. And then there's a couple things that I want to point out as well, because a lot of people, when they start learning Spanish are worried like, I'm making this little mistake. Is it going to be a problem? Are people going to understand me? The short answer is no, because pretty much any mistake a student makes, I could find some accent somewhere that makes the same mistake. Like, for example, when we learn how to say I like me gusta, right? A lot of people ask, why isn't it yo me gusta, right? Or instead of a mí me gusta, or just me gusta, right? Or some people even say yo gusta, right? This is also something that happens in the Dominican Republic, where people will sometimes say yo me gusta, whatever, instead of a mí me gusta, right? So if you make this mistake, it's definitely not the end of the world. The other one that they also tend to drop out is the which is the marker of like the person at being an object, right? Yo llamo a mi mamá. Yo veo a mis amigos. Versus in the Dominican and lots of parts, they're going to drop that out. Yo llamo mi mamá. Yo veo mis amigos, right? Which is something that pretty much everyone does starting out until through some gentle corrections, they start to pick it up and use it more naturally and speak correctly just through coming to class and taking lessons. So now that we've talked about some of the pronunciation differences, let's talk about some of the slang that you need to know. And the first word I'm going to give you is the word tigre. Ese tipo es un tigre. Or que lo que tigre, what's up, right? Que lo que being what's up, right? A tigre is somebody who's like really smart, clever, generally street smart, right? They know how to handle themselves, know how to handle lots of situations. The second word that we need to be able to speak with Dominicans is the word vaina. Vaina is essentially just a thing. And there's a great video, which I'm going to put in after, that shows how vaina can be used in all kinds of contexts.
¿Sabes que me llamo Vainita?
¿Y cuál fue su vaina?
Tú sabes que ese tipo siempre viene con una vaina.
Ese tipo siempre priva en vaina.
Me dijo una vaina, que se armó una vaina. ¿Tú puedes creer esa vaina?
No me venga con esa vaina.
So you see this. ¿Qué es esa vaina? Pásame esa vaina. Quiero esa vaina. Right? The next word that you need is the word pana. Pana is a word for friend, which is heard all over the Caribbean zones of lots of countries. Colombia, Venezuela, Puerto Rico. All kind of pop into my mind just off the top of my head, where they use pana to mean friend. It's like saying bro, buddy, right? Voy a salir con mis panas este fin de semana. I'm going to go out with my friends this weekend. Next up, we have heavy, right? Which just means something is cool or awesome. La fiesta estuvo heavy anoche. The fiesta, the party was great last night. Yuma, which is actually a town in Arizona. I wonder if this is like a migration thing. I don't know. But Yuma refers to American people or something related to the U.S. This is really common on a lot of the islands, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominican. Voy a ir a la Yuma para vacaciones. I'm going to go to the U.S. for vacation. Next up, we have chin, which a chin is a small amount of something. Solo quiero un chin de arroz. Solo quiero un chin de azúcar. You just want a little bit of rice, a little bit of sugar. Then we have bregar, which means to handle or to deal with a situation. Tengo que bregar con esto en la mañana, right? I have to deal with this in the morning. Then we have tato. Tato is just a quick way of saying, yes, okay, let's go. And it comes from the expression originally of está todo bien, which has then been contracted, as we talked about earlier, to tato. Vamos a la fiesta, tato. Vamos al cine, tato. Next, we have guacho, which guacho in Argentina means just homie or dude, right? But in the Dominican Republic, it's a reference to a small kid, a young kid. Ese guacho está jugando en la calle. Next up, we have bailar hasta abajo, which just means just to dance intensely, to really get down at a party. And then also pégate, which means like join in. Pégate a la fiesta. Vamos a bailar hasta abajo hoy. Join the party. We're going to dance crazy tonight. We're going to get down. And then two more words that are really good to know when it comes to transportation are the word guagua, which is a bus. So on the bus remains like the smell of your perfume, right? And then we have the motoconcho, which are the little moto taxis that are going to be all over the place in the Dominican Republic. They are so much fun to ride. I really love the Dominican Republic. I remember it was the first time I traveled abroad by myself, and jumping on the back of these things was easily, at that point, the most adventurous thing I'd ever done. Now, it probably wouldn't affect me, but they are really fun to ride. So there we go, guys. Now you've got some ideas on how to deal with the Dominicans and understand what they're saying. Watch out for the super fast lightning speed that they're going to talk at. Pay attention to those pronunciation differences, especially the R to L, the lack of the S and the D. Those will drop out all the time. Those are the big ones, right? And then also you've got the vocab now to be able to start throw in some Dominicanisms into your everyday speech and be able to start sounding like a true Dominican. And if you really want to practice your Dominican accent, the best thing you can do is go find Dominican artists, music artists, listen to them sing their songs and try and shadow and follow along with what they're saying and sing along, try and copy their accent as best you can. Watch interviews as you'll really see them stand out. Watch street interviews, even more so than just interviews with like people in more formal situations, and that will help you practice. If you like this video and learned something new, be sure to hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and leave in the comments below what I should touch on next, or even what I got wrong. Feed the algorithm. Adios, mi gente.